Hello, everyone. I think the weatherman lied. I'm pretty sure it said that it was going to be raining today. But, oh well. Check for spring onions southwest of town where the river meets the ocean. You can sometimes find a whole bunch growing right out of the dirt. Good to know. Alright, but, yeah. Welcome back to Stardew Valley. Getting right back into it. As you can see, my energy is, like, halved. Because unfortunately I overexerted myself yesterday. I mean, it's okay. There's no lasting effects. It's just for one day. And I just have to remember not to overexert myself today. Which, I mean, it makes sense that your character would... Excuse me, I'm super burpy right now. It makes sense that your character would be just absolutely destroyed. He was destroyed. That your character would be destroyed after working an entire day on the farm. Which, I mean, anyone who's done any kind of level of manual labor in their life, you know that working hard manual labor, such as plowing fields and tending to crops and stuff, that is exceedingly physically taxing. And I guess to give a window into my life, I was raised in the country. I wasn't raised, deep country, so it wasn't like, the farm life. I didn't live on a farm, but I lived on a large property, not a fancy property by any stretch of the imagination. It was my grandparents. My grandfather owns a kennel, and so when I was very young, me and my brother, we would help him sometimes with the kennel or tending to the land. And what we would do is that what he does is that he rents out a large portion of his property to soy and corn farmers. Which, I mean, that's good. He, what he makes off of that allows them to live in his own business. His business doesn't even have to do well in order for them to, thrive, basically. But, basically, eventually, yeah, when I was young, I would, play a lot in the, running around, digging holes. Because for some reason, ever since I was young, I loved the idea of just, of basically shaping the world around me. And even if that was as big of a task as just digging a small hole in the ground, I would do it. I would get in trouble constantly because I would constantly be wanting to dig holes. And I never really understood, and even to this day, it still kind of perplexes me a little bit, what's so wrong with digging a hole. I skipped past that. That was a note that said, "Wait until my return on the 3rd year, Grandpa." Oops. But, let me just examine that for a second. Basically, what that is, that's sort of an allusion to the very end of the game. Not the end of the game, but, on the 3rd year, basically, your grandfather, you know what? I'm just gonna say your grandfather, does a thing. His return, quote unquote. Which technically it's quote, statement, unquote, but semantics are good, but only when they are necessary. Some people don't actually know what the word semantics means, and some people say, well, that's just semantics. But the thing is that if you know what the word semantics means, sometimes semantics is super important. Semantics meaning, it pretty much means details when you boil it down to it. And if you are someone who is scientifically literate, details are super important. Like, the use of proper verbiage is super important. For example, saying that, that's a good example. Calling a dolphin a fish because it has fins and swims in the ocean, technically, like the semantics of it is that it is technically it's a mammal because it's warm-blooded, it has mammalian organs, including lungs, and is, not a fish. And someone who would support the concept of calling a dolphin a fish would say, that's just semantics. But that's really important information. That's important semantics. That is details that are super important to the proper classification of an animal. I think something also I'm going to try to avoid on the channel, I'm going to try to avoid giving certain opinions on certain things. If people want to know my opinion on certain things, I mean, later on when, people are actually going to be watching this and commenting, I will. If you want to know, I'll tell you. I'm a pretty open book. I am not shy or afraid of sharing my opinion. And I'm definitely not afraid of sharing facts. Because some of my opinions, actually all of my opinions, are based on facts. And I'm willing to back them up too. Some people, that's the thing that I don't understand, is people who will hold an idea or hold a belief without even questioning it. And this is not exclusive to, certain forms of belief. This is exclusive to any belief. Like seeing that the sky is blue. Like people don't question, like some people, they'll be like, oh, well, the sky's blue. And they'll not ask, why is it blue? We know why it's blue. It's because the sky has the amount of, the chemical composition of the sky is enough that it absorbs all the light and only reflects blue. And then why is the ocean blue, much like the sky? It's because the ocean is reflecting the sky. Because water is a naturally reflective substance. But anyways, like and some people, they'll be like, it's like a Santa. Like when I was a kid, I was not of the same mind as I am now. I would actually think something, and then it would be very hard for me to get me to change my mind. Nowadays, I'm much more honest. I guess is the best word to use. Because not questioning your held beliefs is sort of dishonest in a way. Because that's basically excluding any other possibilities. It's basically saying there is no way that this belief of mine is wrong. And I know that that's, a little hyperbolic, but it's not entirely, because they seem to befit each other. If you have one, you're probably going to have the other. If you say that someone is wrong, you're probably also going to say that you are right. If you're going to say that someone else is 100% always wrong, you're probably going to also have a similar kind of idea that you are necessarily mostly always correct. What's this guy's name? Gunter? Yeah. Yeah, blah blah blah. Foraging, the fisherman. How do you build mine? Yeah, basically by finding the books you could fill these in, and eventually you just run out of books to find. And sometimes when you dig up those worms, you won't always find books. You'll find like artifacts and stuff, and those are helpful. You can donate the artifacts, or sometimes, I guess, if you really need to, if you find like multiples of the same artifact, you can sell them. Which, I mean, isn't the worst idea, but some of them don't really get you much. Like, I think like one of them that I have found like 5 times is only worth like 1 G. And like I've sold like 7 of them, but there's really no point at that. There's really no point at that point. And then some you don't want to donate immediately. Like there's an item that I'll probably find at least one of later that I'm going to hold on to. And the withholding of information. That's because I don't want to ruin anything for some people. I want to make this a very natural kind of progression. I want people to be able to learn this and experience this for themselves, as well as learning from my experience and learning from my actions. Oh man, but man, just it's nice. Excuse me. But yeah, I know I'm starting to feel exhausted. It's fine. Oh, actually, I think this is how this works, but watch this. Okay, so this will deal 2 points of damage to my energy. This is an interesting little bug that I found. I think this is how this works. All aboard the derp train. I don't know what causes this. It's unusual, to be sure. But for some reason, whenever you eat a food, whenever I eat a food that inflicts energy damage, like a sap, and then immediately move, like if I hold a movement key or immediately move after the sick animation stops playing, I will do this. And what's actually interesting is that if I stop doing this, I'll just stop and then I'll walk normally. Or if I like swing that, then I'll start running normally. But that's a very interesting bug, and I have no idea what causes that. And I'm not saying that needs to be patched or anything, but I wonder if anyone else has found that, because that's super interesting. So let's go get some rest. Yeah, do I need to get any rest? Do I need to check in my crops? Yeah, that's everything. So let's throw these in here. Tomorrow, I'm going to take the geode to the blacksmith. Alright, so we're gonna get some sleep, and we'll be doing that. Ooh, survival burger. We'll be doing that in the next episode, so I will see you all then. Bye-bye.